do some gaming. I'm ready to do some gaming.
There we go. Some
On
Dota.
what?
Dota? Isn't that the name of
Dota?
it? Isn't that the name of it?
I
That's the
thought you
game,
were
yeah.
calling me a Dota.
Yeah.
I'm Bobby. That's Galen down there in the basement. What are you
I am.
making today, Galen? You're well lit.
I'm actually eating chocolate wafers of almonds and stuff, and I'm just losing my mind because it's so good. I shouldn't be treated so well.
I'm jealous.
How do you stay skinny, man? Every day you're eating something.
How do I stay skinny? Dude, you haven't seen me standing up, and I don't think I want to show it to you. But that's okay, man. The pandemic has not been kind to me.
The box is only so big.
Yes, exactly. If I stand up, you're only going to see portions of.
That's Joseph in the upper corner, and that is Vishal, who's not guarding gold today. He's on the pitch.
The bright lights.
The bright lights. We're talking about Tiidal Gaming. That's why we're gaming. Tiidal Gaming is TIDL on the Canadian exchange. I guess they're based in Toronto, but they're based all over the world.
That's right.
And
The wonder of the internet.
Thomas Hearn is the CEO, and you can check out an interview he just did with Jody Vance elsewhere on the site today, as well as Joseph's write-up, and that's why Joseph's going first, right, Joseph?
I'm going first. Now, esports isn't really my thing. As most people around here know, I'm the crypto guy, so I like to stay in my sandbox. Periodically, I get bored about writing about that kind of thing, and I want to branch out and have a look at the things. So I decided on Tiidal Gaming. Now, what they are is an esports gaming platform company that buys and operates businesses focused on gaming media and the technology ecosystem. They have two subsidiaries. They're called SportsFlare and Lazarus. Now, Lazarus is an esports team. They go out, they participate in esports. Company makes money if they make money, kind of thing. They pull in revenue from merch, such things, and the kind of things that you would expect a professional team to be able to pull in. But for my money, I'm interested in SportsFlare because if they are a platform in which you have multiple different betting options, including my favorite, betting on yourself, which means that if you're playing video games and you have, like, if you're the idea towards getting better, getting to the level of where you could potentially be a competitor is interesting, at least to me, because I'm a lifelong video gamer. And I have spent, long before console games became a thing, I spent way too much of my parents' money in video game arcades, trying to get as good as I can and beat all my friends. But it was, a limited ecosystem, and frankly, they don't spend as much money or time on it, so they never got as good. SportsFlare gives you an open option to bet on yourself against an entire ecosystem, like people who you will never meet, who will always be better. There will always be someone who is better than you. So it's a never-ending thing. You can't beat all your friends, and then I was like, who else am I going to beat? So you bet on yourself. You get yourself incrementally better, and then potentially you get up around to the point where you can monetize this sort of thing. Maybe you join an esports team yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great option for kids. What do you guys think?
The bet on yourself thing is wild. The fact that we've reached that point where we literally place wagers on our own.
Don't think I'll be doing that, since 12-year-olds beat me continuously if I ever do any kind of online participation. That would just be a losing proposition for me. But if you're in there and you got your skill and you've been playing hard, and you're a danger when it comes to Call of Duty, then why not? I go ahead, Vishal. Sorry, I'm just stepping right in there.
No, that's fine, man. I was just gonna say that it's interesting point that Joseph actually brought up in terms of playing these games against really skillful people, but in a way, sort of improving yourself, right? You can see on some of these bets here, you can have bets as I'll finish in the top 10, I'll have over 10 kills, I'll have over 5 assists, and I actually didn't even consider that. Sure, it can be casual, but nowadays I'm seeing a lot of professional gaming, right? It's getting big. There's a lot of money in games, and just go to Twitch, take a look at some of these big earners on video games. I know in South Korea, a lot of these video game players are pretty much celebrities or athletes. So I think this is sort of a interesting point that Joseph brought up, and I never actually thought of that as this way of sort of practicing and, I guess in a way betting on yourself, but also improving. And maybe you get noticed and you get yourself on one of these big esports team if that's the career path you want to choose. And believe me, there's a lot of. I would say I'm still a casual gamer, just like probably Joseph and Galen here. But I know a lot of people who are like casual gamers, but they play games such as here we go. You'll see here. Title talks about most of their revenue comes, or most of the bets come from a game like Fortnite. They also have Call of Duty Warzone there as well. I'm still old school. I like to play these sort of single player games where you go on big adventures and that kind of stuff, right? So that's sort of my path. But I do know a lot of people who do play, your Fortnites, your League of Legends, like Gillen mentioned, your Dota, all these type of shooting games. And I don't think they're into casual gaming anymore, man. I think they're more, saying, hey, if I can make some money off of this, if I can maybe record myself, put myself on Twitch. Obviously, there's big competition, major competition, but I like the point Joseph brought up in terms of using this as sort of a way to train yourself, if you're very serious about this. Shall I talk about the charts here, or do you
please. No. Do it up, dude. Follow it through.
Teed off with the charts. Okay,
absolutely.
Charts, baby.
Munch it up, baby.
Yep. So as you guys can see here today, on the day we're recording, the stock is up 9%. Although it is on a volume of 1,000 shares traded. So at 18 cents, not very much in terms of how much money moved the stock up 9%. If we take a look at this historical data, we can see that the volume is sort of dry on a few days, but there was a big volume surge on the 20th of April of 147,000 shares traded, which is quite a lot going back. You see 200,000 actually on March 9th. But there's the volume is in and out. And if you take a look at the chart, you'll probably understand why. I've drawn out, the levels that I'm watching. You have basically your typical range, right? Your rectangle pattern, if you want to call it, and price is just, bouncing between these two, support or price floor, and then resistance, your price ceiling level. And as a trader, or as, I guess as a trader, because as an investor, you're looking at more fundamental stuff, but as a trader, you're sort of looking at this as a way of basing. So there's potential that the stock has bottomed here. You're waiting for a good breakout, because if that breakout happens, the stock will have a nice rally. I have a target here at 27.5 cents, and then I haven't drawn it out, but you'd be looking at your 34 cents a level if you get that breakout. But the breakout, the price level that we're watching is for a close above this resistance zone here that I've drawn out, which is about the 19 cents area. And you can see we've rejected it once, twice. We rejected it recently on April 8th here as well, and perhaps we're going up to test it for the fourth time, and maybe that's going to give us a breakout, right? So I say that because it's probably going to be on the press release side. Maybe they're going to have a big catalyst to come out. The recent news is about uplisting to QTCB over in the United States, which is great, right? Because it does add more more interest to the company in the American markets there. But what I've been looking at is the financial statement, and this came out on April 1st, and it's I believe it's just the unaudited. It's unaudited, so it's for the 3 months ended January 31st, 2022, and we can see on the latest cash position is 1.6 million. So they do have cash in the bank, and let's hope they can use that to get some sort of catalyst here going, because the stock is ready for a move. It just needs that breakout trigger, and that's where management will come in to provide.
Yeah, it's interesting how it's kind of done the ranging there for a consistent basis since doing
early February.
Doing the whoop-de-doos. Galen, what are you thinking about the old Tiidal Group here and there?
Well, it's an interesting prospect because basically it's the evolution of what we consider to be casual gaming. Back in the days where I was very excited to see a 16-bit or 8-bit character sort of coming across the screen and going, my God, this is amazing, to now where we're actually seeing things in 4K and it's can be stultifyingly boring to a certain extent for the modern day gamer because they want so much more out of the experience when I was just happy to hear noises come out of my TV. So what they're looking for is a different experience, something that expands what they're doing. Plus, culture has changed to the point where, as Vishal had mentioned, and so has Joseph, that this has become a career that you could actually spend the rest of your life until you grow old and fall over in your chair playing video games for a living. Now, just like professional sports, only a very few make the big cash and the rest of us just end up paying into the system. But, that's just the way it is. That's how things work in that arena. So basically what Tiidal has done is, I think to a certain extent, married these two worlds together, allowing people to bring the thrill of online gaming and also iGaming, meaning the gambling portion, into one arena, so these kids become more attached, more involved, more is at stake, and also more individuality. It's not just like, do you win the game or not? Right? The ability to do the bets builder, which is one portion of what they seem to offer here, is that you can actually create your own bet. It's not just that, do I want to bet on myself to win the game? Like, do I want to bet that I can make it over this hill in 3 jumps? That's basically it. You can just do whatever you like. Now, for me, I'm curious at how the whole process works in terms of who takes that bet. I guess it's just the house. I suppose you create this, and it looks at it, and I suppose creates the odds. This is where I guess I have to dig a little deeper. This is me. But the fact is that you can do that and see a result on the other side. Now, the company itself is kind of hamstrung, as anyone operating in that sector, because the online rules for gambling and iGaming are sort of hodgepodge and put together as you might across the planet, and not necessarily domestically. United States has very stringent laws in terms of trying to game online. You can only do it in a couple of states. Canada is the same way, although recently it has allowed gaming to take place within the province of Ontario. Well, actually, nationwide, it's allowed it to occur. The province of Ontario is the first one to put that ruling into play, allowing people to submit applications to the government to become iGaming suppliers within those areas. And luckily enough, or smartly enough, I should say, Tiidal Gaming has moved into that position to be one of those people, and I believe in late March or early April, announced that it had... April 4th, there we go, announced that it had submitted to the Ontario government for a license or a permit to become a iGaming supplier in the province. Now, this allows Tiidal, because basically if you look at the entire North American continent, Ontario will probably figure, as Thomas said in an earlier interview that I was watching that he was doing with Jody, that Ontario will probably figure as a formative player in terms of developing the legislation, the rules, and the procedures in and around allowing this system in your jurisdiction. So Tiidal, in joining the Ontario government, is also becoming one of the formative industry players, no pun intended, in dealing in putting all of this together. So in doing that, that'll give them not necessarily an automatic in, but an easier access to entry, or a lower barrier to entry to enter new jurisdictions, because it can also act as a consultant, for heaven's sake. So it isn't necessarily just limited to trying to provide the business itself. I like the technology that they're doing. They live and work in this area or in this sector as a modern day company operating in that sector. We mentioned earlier that they are spread across the planet. They have a coding team, I believe, in New Zealand, if I'm not incorrect, and then people across the planet doing their own little bit here and there to make sure that the company has got all the parts moving at once. Tom, I believe, operates out of Ontario at this point in time. Interesting fellow.
This could be the trigger. This catalyst.
Well, I think that is what we're looking for. Rather than even just revenue and stuff, because this company, as with many companies within this space, they are still building their business. And in the world of iGaming or any kind of app release, you're trying to get people to get on and use your product, you basically have to pay for it. There's a lot of money involved in marketing. There's also a lot of money into bringing into seed players and seed users. So it's going to be costly to get in, but once you turn that wheel, and you have sort of a snowball effect, I suppose, after that, when you've attracted everybody to your platform, and then you begin to turn your money over. So they're in the position right now of building the business. So we can't really expect a whole lot in terms of not just revenue, but profit at this point in time, which is understandable. Now, unfortunately, it is hamstrung in another fashion. Retail investors have not been the brightest of bulbs over the last 10 years. And the unfortunate part is that they've been suckered into many meme-driven stocks and fads, either because of venture capitalists deciding that they want to exit out of a company and make huge bank, and hoodwink the public into thinking this is something that's happening tomorrow. So basically, any new thing that's come onto the market over the last 10 years has been dreadfully overpriced as it hits. People have been so FOMO'd, it's not even funny. And unfortunately, what this creates is a reality trough that nobody's really happy with, because they don't realize how distorted they were stepping into it in the first place. However, this kind of technology and the culture that they're sort of feeding towards does have potential. There is growth in this. This isn't just something that we got sold and it's never going to work. It's actually something that's going to build. But there are investors out there that are right now taking a look at, well, take a look at the charts, man. You guys were way up in the skies when you first came out. Like, what were they when they hit your top line there, Vishal?
About 35 cents.
35 cents. And now they're at?
18.
Okay, people will look at that and say that, they just lost all their gusto and they're not doing anything, and what the crap is this? This is our short-sighted investment strategies coming into play, which is unfortunate, and also our lack of understanding of our own gullibility. I'm sorry to say that. I love retail investors. I just wish we'd take a little more time in our due diligence before we start buying whatever's new coming down the pipe.
Which brings us around to actually spending potential cashola on the old title, which is TIDL on the Canadian exchange. And as you mentioned, Tommy Boy is in Toronto. But we've also got New Zealand operations, I believe India operations. They got stuff going on.
They're everywhere. They're
everywhere. We'll start with Joseph. He wrote the article. What are you doing if you got $7,500 to play with here?
Well, looking at 18 cents and looking at how much debt they have, I'm looking at their progress from their from the last set of financials they put out. This set, they're increasing cash position, what kind of shareholder equity they've got, assets minus liabilities and things like that. I'm trying to figure out whether or not this company is actually going to grow, and how what kind of rate they're going to grow at over the next a couple quarters. And what I'm thinking is, this is kind of I'm normally kind of conservative even with other people's money because I'm like that. But I'm thinking my risk assessment is probably going to be around $1,000. Since I want to have my foot in the game, but I want to see a bit more positive price action before I start committing a bit more money. So 1,000 now, and we'll reassess in a quarter.
I actually thought you were going to go all in there when you're like, you're usually a conservative guy. And I was like, but no, not today.
Heating it up. All right, so $1,000 now. Vishal, you're next.
Yeah, I follow Joseph's approach there. I like, what's going on here. I do like the idea that the next catalyst trigger is going to be the approval, or basically, the approval, or it's announced that Tiidal does have an operating license in the province of Ontario. I just don't know if that's going to be the catalyst to get us going, right? The thing about ranges that, I really hate, and again, I'm just basing this off experience, because the thing about ranges is it's not necessarily telling you the bottom's in, right? It's telling you there's a good chance that the selling pressure has exhausted, but this range could, carry on for who knows how long, months perhaps, right? And then you get your money sort of stuck in a range, or even worse, the range can actually break down and you continue a bit lower. So I tend to wait for the breakout of the range. So I would also be putting in, I would put in 2K in this company, but I would wait for that breakout above 19 cents. And perhaps it is that news, right, that the license is confirmed. But I just don't want to be holding my money in a range. So caveat, wait for the breakout and then put your money in.
Sorry, how much were you doing? 2K?
Got a news
Yeah.
catalyst.
2K at 19.
Now, Vishal,
Yep.
what was the bottom end of that range?
The bottom is basically 14 cents, but
14
the lows,
cents?
the very lows, was 13. So
Very lows was 13. Okay, 13, 14. It's still a matter of pennies. I mean,
Yeah.
and to a certain extent, though, if you're buying in at that level, that is for 30% of the value approximately.
it's pretty big. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
look at this, right? The
Now-
stock moved up not 2 cents, and that's a 9% move. So
Yeah. Now the thing is, what I'm looking at right now is they have a product. It isn't vaporware. It's already in operation. They're merely waiting for legislation. Now that is indeed not something that is guaranteed in any way, shape, or form, but they've managed to get inside on Ontario, and as the rest of the world opens up, which it will do, they will have that sort of first hand going at things. The real catalyst, as we were talking about earlier, and Vishal had mentioned, is whether or not they got that application. Or approval on that application, I should say. I don't see anything in that way, but I mean, we're looking at a bureaucratic state, and let's remember what happened when cannabis growers were trying to get their license approved, a different process, but still same kind of touchy legal environment. It took a while, right? There was just a big slowdown in terms of, who was going to get it what when. Now, because I'm not like Vishal, who plays more as a trader and as he should, because he's a technical analyst and that's how he plays things. Correct, Vishal? I wouldn't be incorrect in describing you as such. I know you have long-term investments, but you do play as a normal, the other side. I like to play the long play. I'm not really much of a trader. I don't want to have to pay attention to my computer 24 hours a day. It just bugs me. So basically, I think at this point in time that yes, there is a 30% variability within the price, but it seems to have reached that bottom range. And with what they have right now, I don't see it as being something that's just going to pit out to nothing. That doesn't mean there's a guarantee that it won't, but it just for me doesn't necessarily indicate it. I think that I would probably throw in about 3K. I'm going a little bigger than you guys, and that's kind of odd because typically in the world of tech, I always go light. But I think I'd probably drop 3K on these guys because I think good news is actually around the corner. That approval on the Ontario application will be a huge push for the company. It will allow them to do business in Ontario. And I'm sure there's a lot of people champing at the bit to start betting on themselves.
Good use of champing.
Exactly. Thank you.
People think it's chomping. It's
exactly.
champing.
No, it's champing. So I think I would rather, I think I would throw down 3 with the proviso, again, of seeing how they produce as Joseph. I like, instead of throwing the whole thing down, I want to see how things progress after that. Yes, they got their foot in the door and it's a big market, but I want to see how they play that out. So 3K to start and we'll see where it goes from there.
All right. Fair enough. We got $1,000, $2,000, and $3,000. It's kind of exponential. I guess if I had any money left, if I hadn't given it to all you guys, maybe I'd go 4. But anyway.
See, there you go. Get a pizza.
Peeps, we can't guarantee results here with the old TIDL on the Canadian exchange. That would be Tiidal Gaming. But we would expect you to do your own homework and research and all that's good stuff. Look into it before you throw any money down. We can't guarantee what we tell you because there really are no guarantees in life. Is that true? And also, past performance does not guarantee future results. So check it out, do your diligence, and take a good long look at TIDL on the Canadian exchange. That is Tiidal. I'm Rob. That's Galen. That's Joseph. That's Vishal. Soccer Boy. And we'll see you on the very next Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable.
You can bet on it, literally.